Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for your support. Thank you for going on this journey through our past and present. And today I'm going to talk about the real Betty Boop. We talk about cultural appropriation and intellectual theft on this channel, and that's what this is about today. Now, a lot of you may not ever have heard of Betty Boop. But Betty Boop was a very popular character in the United States during a certain period of time. The problem with Betty Boop was that her race was changed. She was changed from a black cartoon character to a white cartoon character because the character was so popular. And this came from Google. Yes, the real Betty Boop was inspired by a black woman named Esther Jones, also known as Baby Esther. Esther Jones was a prominent jazz singer and performer in Harlem during the 1920s, known for her unique vocal style that included the phrase boop boop ba doop. Her influence on the character Betty Boop was significant, but she was never credited for her inspiration. So there we go with intellectual theft. The character was later whitewashed, and while Betty Boop became a popular animated character, Esther Jones' contributions remain largely unrecognized. And that was not unusual for Black creators. And even to this day, Black creators are shorted, especially singers and writers. And they say they really get ripped off when they write a book and it's made into a movie. Black authors say they really get ripped off when those books become movies. The movies will make a whole lot of money, but they sold the rights to that movie for a much smaller amount. So here again we have cultural appropriation and intellectual theft. PBS, the Public Broadcasting Service, has confirmed that Betty Boop, the popular cartoon character introduced to the world by cartoonist Max Fleischer in 1930, was actually inspired by a real-life African-American jazz singer and entertainer from Harlem named Esther Jones. Her stage name was Baby Esther, but unfortunately, when her character became the first and most famous sex symbol in animation, she was whitewashed, with most people having no idea where the original inspiration came from. Baby Esther had a popular cabaret act at the infamous Cotton Club in Harlem, New York, where she sang with a unique vocal style that featured boopa boopa doops, or whatever that sound was, and other similar scat sounds. That very same style was heavily imitated by the Betty Boop animated character. Initially, Betty Boop was shown in cartoons as an African American woman. She appeared in at least one animated scene in the popular Popeye the Sailor Man series. But soon after, she was transformed into a white woman and remained so until her character was finally retired. It's estimated that the Betty Boop franchise generated millions of dollars in revenue from television networks and sales of merchandise. Meanwhile, the very woman who inspired the character, Baby Esther, was never compensated in any way. In fact, she never even really achieved mainstream success. During her entire career, she was mostly only known locally in the New York City area, and she reportedly died at a very young age. She is, however, mentioned in many documentaries and books about the Harlem Renaissance, and her legendary way of singing does live on in the iconic Betty Boop character. So this is what happened to Black people back in the 1930s and the 1830s and the 1730s and the 1630s. This is what has happened to Black people. Intellectual theft and cultural appropriation is something that we have had to deal with since the very beginning of our sojourn in the Western Hemisphere. In a 1932 court case, it was revealed that Helen Kane, the white actress often credited with inspiring Betty Boop, had imitated Baby Esther's style. lawyers presented evidence that Kane had seen Esther perform and copied her mannerisms. Despite this, Esther Jones was never credited or compensated for her influence on the character. She didn't influence that character, she created that character. It was her creation. It was not her influencing, it was her creating it, and these white people stole the creation and tried to make it theirs. But the truth always comes out. I am giving multiple sources of the whitewashing of Betty Boop so that you will see that it was widely known that they had stolen this from this black woman, but they did it because that's what they do. Anything that's going to make money, it's okay to steal from black people. Betty Boop was initially drawn with features that resembled a black woman, but over time her design was altered to reflect white beauty standards. The character became one of the first animated sex symbols, but her black roots were largely erased from mainstream recognition. And then when you look at it, when you look at how the character was posed, you can see that generally those are poses that you usually see with black women. But because they put a white face to it, they're trying to make it seem like a white woman has the same shape and the same mannerisms of a black woman. And that's believable to people who want to believe a lie. That is believable to people who want to believe a lie. And that's what they were believing, a lie. That you can take the features and the body shape of a black woman and color her face white and tell everybody she's white and people believe it. Betty Boop's story is a powerful example of how black cultural contributions have often been appropriated and obscured. And that is the truth. And this is not the first time we've seen this. It has happened over and over again. So when we study Black history, we have to remember the unsung heroes of Black American history and culture who have had great works appropriated by other cultures, never being credited or compensated for their work. They count too, and they are many. They are many. Many of them didn't get any credit for their accomplishments. Some of them got some credit, but got no compensation. So we have to remember them because they are a part of this great American history and culture. And like I've said before, things stay hidden for a long time, but in the fullness of time, things done in the dark will come to the light. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about this video and have a good evening. And I am going to get back on my Sunday, Wednesday schedule for uploading. Okay, y'all, bye-bye.